I've seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs like 3 times, and I still think it's hella underrated. Whoa, this video is a bit late, ain't it? Told myself that these were faster and easier to make, but here we are. I'm sorry. So I know the art I'm doing has nothing to do with Snow White, but I was working on it, so might as well use it for a video. And also, the Pretty Boy and I talk about princesses. Yeah, there we go. That's how we'll connect. So before the princess thing, I'll just explain what this piece is. This is a redraw of my final for my illustrative figure drawing class. I decided to use Basille LaChapelle because I haven't drawn him in forever and wanted to use him. The project mainly had to do with patterns, which is why the hat and pants have them, even though he's not supposed to. I really loved how this project turned out, and after finishing it, I wanted to do a fully rendered digital version. So I did, like 3 months later. Anyway, Snow White. So I don't know if it's really a thing. The internet and real life are different, so it's like hard to tell. But I know that there's at least been this thought that the early Disney princesses kinda sucked. And that, oh, they don't do anything, they're not active, they just sit around and wait for a prince to save them, marry men they just met, and overall are just lame compared to the new, strong, independent princesses of today. And to that I say nay. Okay, yes, these older princesses weren't as active, that is a fact. It was the early 1900s after all. But to say that they did nothing and sat around for a prince is just wrong. My case for today? My girl, Snow White. Okay, so mini history lesson. Although Snow White wasn't the first animated film, it was the first one to reach global fame, forever changing how we saw the fairy tale and kickstarting the release of massive animated films. It's one of the most important movies ever made. Needless to say, it was an enormous success, and I think it even became one of the most highest-grossing animated films at one point. Over the years, however, its popularity faded more and more. And it made sense, it was made in the 30s, but that non-popularity seemed to have faded into hatred, or at least dislike. And I have a feeling that most people who talk badly about Snow White haven't even seen her film. But upon watching, you realize that she's fine, actually. And if you look at the deleted scenes, the prince is the best thing to ever exist. First of all, her design. It's not the most complicated design, not at all, but it's definitely appealing. The primary color scheme, the simple dress, the pumps, the cute bow, the short black hair that was popular at the time. Actually, how many Disney princesses have short hair? I think she's the only one. There's Mulan, I guess, but Snow was shorter. Sure, it's very clearly a 1930s outfit in Renaissance Germany, but it's a cute design nonetheless, and there's nothing wrong with something simple. Second, her animation. No, just the animation for the whole movie. It holds up. Like, really well. Not having done such an endeavor, Disney wanted to make sure that this movie was as impressive as he could possibly make it, that it could be watched and enjoyed for as long as possible, and I say he succeeded. Not only do I think it holds up, but there are some scenes that I don't think could even be done today, simply by how much work it is. Seriously, every time I see the animals or the Evil Queen's cape flowing in the wind, it impresses me. So it's safe to say the animation on Snow is pretty good too. Now, obviously, it's a little stiffer and grounded compared to the dwarves, and that's mainly because the animators weren't used to animating people yet. Remember, it's just been Mickey Mouse cartoons at this point, or really cartoony humans. To remedy this issue, they used a technique called rotoscoping, where you basically film real actors doing the scenes and trace over them. It's a technique that's still used today, actually, though it's evolved over time. Back in the 30s, though, it was still relatively new, and yeah, you can tell. That's moving a little too realistically. By Cinderella, the animators realized that they couldn't just trace over the actors, so they started making it more exaggerated. Compared the two princesses, and yeah, I'd say Cinderella moves way better than Snow. But that doesn't mean Snow moves badly by any means. It's still good, and way better than other attempts at rotoscoping. And now onto Snow's character herself. Personality-wise, she's just your general nice, kind girl with nothing deeper. But people tend to forget her actual situation and what she goes through. First of all, her father marries the evil queen, who hates her. Then her father dies and her stepmom forces her, the princess, to become a servant. She doesn't get mad or resentful, but instead just deals with it without complaint. But that isn't enough. She's then nearly killed and told that her stepmother is out to kill her and she needs to run away, the princess becoming a fugitive in her own kingdom. Getting lost in the woods at night, she's out of her element, getting so afraid she faints. And let me tell you, as someone who has gotten lost in the mountains at night, that is nothing short but utterly terrifying. If I started hallucinating, I'd probably faint too. That is until she wakes up and the animals comfort her, eventually finding the dwarf's house. And yeah, it's a little weird that she just wandered in and cleaned up the place, but in her defense, she thought it was a bunch of orphaned children living there. Finding out that they're dwarves, she begs to let them stay, offering cooking and cleaning as payment. And yeah, what else is she gonna do? In a world where the queen wants her dead just for existing, she can't just walk around town. She has no money or belongings, so traveling is really hard too. The best she can do is live off the kindness of strangers, offering work no one wants to do just to survive. A fate millions of real-life people have to go through every day. And here's where it gets to my favorite part of the video: the context of when this movie was made. Snow White came out in 1937, smack dab in the middle of the Great Depression. It was an awful time, where unemployment reached sky-high records and millions lost all of their savings literally overnight. Many couldn't afford houses or food, living in shanty towns and eating from garbage or the small rations the government offered. People were forced to accept whatever job they could, no matter how undesirable, and cleaning a richer person's house is one of the easiest jobs to get. Even today, it's something many people, especially immigrants, do, because they have nothing else. And no one in their right mind would say that life is easy. The only thing you can do in that situation is deal with it and move on. And guess what? That is exactly what Snow White does. Her story was relatable to so many people, not only seeing themselves in her, but also seeing her as a beacon of hope. She suffers one bad thing after another, but she never lets herself get beaten down. She takes all of it without complaint and lives the best life she can with the little she's been given. And by the end, she's rewarded with a happily ever after. And I think that's beautiful. Some might argue it's because she's meant to be subservient, and that might be the case. But there's a reason why the 1930s audience loved her so much. Her story is, dare I say, realistic. Probably out of most of the Disney princesses, especially when it came out. To me, Snow White is a very strong character. She may not be strong physically, but it takes a certain type of resilience and fortitude to go through all of that and still be happy. She reminds me of Belle, where people praise her for standing strong in what she believes in and likes, even if others don't approve. And sure, I wouldn't say Snow is better than Belle, but I feel like she needs to be noticed in a similar way. As for the prince situation, first of all, no, he is not in his 30s. He was designed to be around 18-ish, so that's a total myth. And second, no, she doesn't wait for the prince to save her. At all. In fact, the prince is almost never mentioned for like 90% of the film, to the point where I joke that "Someday My Prince Will Come" is just a reminder that he exists. People will point to that song and the apple scene as proof of her waiting, but if you actually watch the film, dude, she's just daydreaming. She's like a teenager. I'm just saying, if a cute prince came up to me and started singing, I'd be thinking a lot about him too. Not to mention the situation Snow is in. To me, she never seemed like she actually believed he'd save her. It was more of like a fun thought. As for the "she married a man she just met" thing, guys, it's a fairy tale. This isn't your modern Rapunzel but she leaves the tower and fights guards. This is Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and... yeah, no, that's it. Fairy tales are supposed to end with happily ever after. That's what makes it a fairy tale. It's a fantasy. Eesh. I'll never understand why people just don't get that. Anyway, it's a shame the prince couldn't be his own character, though. There's a bit more to the prince than you think. I could talk about it, but probably in another video, actually. Okay, I've been talking about this near-century-old film for like 10 minutes now. I should probably get going. Thank you all so much for watching this video and hearing me basically stan Snow White because she needs more respect and attention. If you want the longer version of what I just said, I recommend There Will Be Fuds and Gracie BB's videos on her. It was their videos that inspired me to make this one, and actually they were also the ones that made me want to watch the movie. They're amazing videos, so go watch them. Okay, enough standing. I hope you guys like the piece I drew as well. I personally really love it. It's already one of my favorite projects I've done, and my boy looks hella dapper. Anyway, that's it for now. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Till next time.